The murderer said that tonight was the night the fox demon sought revenge on him. If they let go of him, he might still fight with one of them, and if they didn't, everyone here would die. It's too bizarre too. The patrols originally did not believe it, did not think. The crazy blind man repeatedly called out that there are fox demons, and Lang Zhong, who has fox demons selling medicine, also said that he had seen the young master of the Xia family 15 years ago, and indeed he had married a tablet, and this Xia family village was indeed deserted now. With so many people testifying, the old patrolman was a little shaken, but the patrol captain did not believe it, and the murderer said that the fox demon might be paid here. A one-eyed dragon on someone's body was frightened and crazy, and he kept prostrating himself and prostrating at the Dragon King. Suddenly, the sheep had a seizure, spitting white foam and falling to the ground. The others screamed in fright, and the old patrol could no longer control the panic and unlocked the murderer. The woman who had been silent suddenly shouted that the murderer was lying. As he spoke, he burst into tears, several guns pointed at her, but her tears were not out of fear. The woman began to tell his story. It turned out that he had once been a person from Xia family village, or the young master of the Xia family. The young master Xia he knew was not a gambler, but the kindest person in Xia family village. 15 years ago, this land happened to be in a drought for 3 consecutive years, with farmland harvested and starvation everywhere. The introduction also shoulders the responsibility of the rich. At that time, the woman fell in love with her, but in the next story, the woman could not tell it, and took the opportunity to assert that he was a fox demon. The old patrol hurriedly told his nephew to tie up the woman, and the young patrol carried the gun a little bit, and he suddenly hummed. The murderer yelled not to move. He said that women are fox demons and there is no need for one more person. The evil in the middle proves. Seeing this scene, the patrol captain who originally did not believe in evil could not help but believe it. The old patrol used his first key to open the lock, and the patrol captain finally turned his back to unlock the murderer. At the moment he unlocked the lock, the young patrolman who had fallen down suddenly jumped up and shot the captain, and the old patrol also suddenly became difficult, firing 4 shots in a row to kill all of the patrol leader's men. At this moment, the murderer was sitting in the middle of the corpse, looking like a hungry ghost, and there was no fox demon at all. Everything is a good play of collusion between the old patrol and the murderer. Previously, on the way to the escort, the murderer secretly negotiated a deal with the old patrolman, exchanging his wealth for more than 10 years of robbery for freedom. But the trouble for the two was that the patrol leader and his men were honest and could not be tempted. So the old patrol gang and his patrol nephew cooperated with the murderer to perform this demon and ghost play, in order to deceive the upright patrol captain and find a way to make him unlock. After killing him, the murderer picked up the captain's gun, and the shot was the result, and the woman rushed out to ask the murderer if he remembered that he had also been hit by 7. The murderer certainly remembered that there were many people employed in this temple. The truth of 15 years ago was this: he was indeed a small Taoist monk, but master had already killed himself. He was tainted with a rotten gambling problem, and the gambling family was ruined. Every time he was in debt, he was beaten to ask the young master of the Xia family to borrow money, and he could borrow it several times in the past, but this day was close to the young master's big wedding, and he went to borrow money from the Xia family, and people saw that he did not change his nature, and he was blasted out, and there was also a fat man who was delicious and lazy. Although this fat man's family has an old mother to raise, he only eats the relief of the Xia family and never works. In Xiejia village, there are more than 1 or 2 such people. Passing village women also used to eat and receive help in the dry years. Now that the drought used to be unable to get money, he also felt jealous of the Xia family. Those who had been favored by the young master did not learn to be grateful at all, they only felt that the young master had not given enough before, and now they had withdrawn the alms. Even if his mansion became a shack and the wedding was run from Jane, they still felt that it was not enough. On the eve of the wedding, lazy villagers gathered in the square. They had so much rice, how about we eat something? You said that their family had so much money, give us some use, and after a long time of reasoning, they came to some stinky mouths and began to ridicule the bride that young Master Xia wanted to marry. Some people say that the woman is beautiful, and then the ugly mouth becomes a charm. When chewed to the extreme, it becomes a fox spirit. The speaker was unintentional, the listener was intentional, and the little Taoist and the fat man looked at each other and decided to kidnap the bride and give her medicine. The bandits of the Purple Mountain exchanged money. The cadres knew that young Master Xia's servant liked young Master Xia, so they started from him. They bought Menghan medicine from a foreign lang who traveled to Xia village, and gave it to the lady in charge of grooming to seduce her into fascination with young Master Xia. She naively thought that if he let the bride disappear, he would be able to occupy the magpie's nest, because his bride was easily kidnapped and unfortunately died. Young Master Xia was devastated to see that his wife was dead, but he decided to marry her. Thus, the strange wedding that won the ranking, which was originally a ceremony of sad people's oaths, gradually turned into a middle evil in the mouths of the fools. The legend of the man taking the fox demon. 15 years later, the temple was destroyed, and the murderer and the old patrol killed the witnesses, leaving only a blind man and a small child. They asked the blind man to pack tonight's sins into another ghost story to pass on. Sure enough, there are no ghosts in the world, but only the hearts of people who cannot open their eyes and look directly. The story is told here. The movie is called Yamamura Huchi. The ghosts and strange stories of the whole movie come from the dictation of the characters. Half are the spread of superstition and ignorance, half are covered up by evil people. It is the fabrication of the ghost god. Each translation is closely centered on Xie Jia village and Xie family young master, making people form a focused curiosity about this desolate ghost village, and they can't stop watching. The film also has the traditional Chinese idea of causation. There is reincarnation in the way of heaven, and good and evil will eventually be rewarded. So at the end of the movie, there is also a